resonated with me because I do have some Alzheimer's things that happened in the past in my family. A great uncle of mine had been hit with some dementia, and through hearing the stories of his caregiver, his wife, my great aunt, there was a violent streak, and you know, it's something that I never knew existed in dementia. I just thought people forgot about stuff, and you know, maybe they didn't know who you were when you were coming in to talk to them, and they would ask you the same question again. So this was the first time that I had ever realized that the caregiver is in a position to take care of somebody that can be violently aggressive towards them because they don't know who they are. And so with the script, it really hit home to a place I think a lot of people maybe don't realize dementia goes, and maybe will shed light to how much a caregiver actually goes through and help them to realize that it's not just them, that there are other people out there that they can reach out to for help.
My personal story with Alzheimer's is more through friends and a particular couple right now that are close to me, and the husband is maybe almost as far along as what this one, our story, Fragile Storm, goes into, and it is just so heartbreaking for both of them, because yes, there comes a point, I suppose, in Alzheimer's where you don't realize what's going on and you don't recognize people and stuff, but prior to that, there's such a long span of time where you're aware that you're causing so much turmoil in the family or to your loved one, and you're embarrassing maybe yourself and others because you'll be out and you can't figure out how to do the things that are just normal, like sitting down in a chair to have dinner at a restaurant. It's like, I don't know how to get to that point. So I have this dear friend that's going through that. My mother had dementia, and I don't even think she knew who I was on her last month or two of life, and that didn't dawn on me until after she was gone. And I thought, you know what? I don't think she even knew who I was. She just thought, well, here's this nice lady coming and singing to me and wheeling me around and smiling and looking. I think that's all she thought I was at that time. But yeah, it's really important. Yes, we can entertain with this little film, this precious, wonderful, poignant film, but it's also telling people and letting them be aware of, wow, the commitment it takes from the family, from somebody that cares or loves someone. Now this one, yes, definitely is kind of extreme, but I don't think it's so rare. I don't think it's such a rare choice that this couple has made.
My aunt and my mom and my grandma were closely involved. My great-grandmother had Alzheimer's. She just passed a year ago. So, I mean, just watching them and seeing the things that they have to do every day to care for her and to make her life as easy as possible. I think that it's a very draining and insane experience for the caregiver. I mean, you can be a family member and not really be around it, but the person that's there every day, I think that it's really hard and emotionally draining for them. I think that this film is going to have an insane impact on people, especially for ones that have family members or loved ones that suffer from Alzheimer's, because, I mean, I think that it's one of the most devastating diseases to know someone with. It's really hard to see someone that you love and to see them as they are, but in their mind, they're not there. Or to see them think about memories, happy times, does make you smile to see them remember those things. But I think it gets really hard when they have to relive a sad moment in their life or something, a traumatic moment that happened years ago that they've healed, but because they go back there, it's like they're living it again. It's such a real, devastating disease that really affects so many lives. So.
My grandmother, my mama, when she died, she was in full-blown dementia. Every week I would talk to my family and I'd hear stories, and I remember the first time I saw her when she didn't know who I was. And she was still in early stages, and she didn't know who I was, but she still was herself and remembered to be polite and not act like she didn't know who I was, because obviously I knew her, but she didn't know why. So she was very polite, but I could see on her face this just recognition, no recognition whatsoever. So then the second time I saw her, she had been put into a home because she had started to wander. And my aunt, who was taking care of her, had to work, so she couldn't be there during the day, and it got to be dangerous. So they had to put her into a home. And the second time I saw her, she didn't recognize most of the family at that point, and that was really hard. She had stopped wanting to eat. She had stopped walking. She had stopped being my mama. And it was so weird looking at this woman I recognized and realizing that she wasn't there. It was very, very odd. So reading this script really, really hit home with me and really made me want to be a part of this and really bring out so many things I didn't know. You know, I had grown up watching films, classic films, modern day films, where dementia and Alzheimer's was kind of funny. People didn't realize what it really was. You know, it was kind of like the crazy lady or the crazy old man, kind of funny, kind of cute. And it's not like that at all. Until my mama went through it, I had no idea. No idea. And there are so many people out there who still have no idea. And I wanted to be part of a team that brought it out there and made it more mainstream to the masses. I realized, and I'm still realizing, that through this whole process, people feel so alone. It's terrifying for the victim. It's terrifying realizing that you are losing yourself. You're losing your past, your present, your future. You're losing all of it. It's heartbreaking for those who love them, because there's nothing they can do when they look into eyes looking at them that are vacant, that are void of knowing their sons, their daughters, their grandchildren. And it's heartbreaking because there's no way to protect them and there's no way to save them. In some ways, it's very dehumanizing because our memories and our emotions are what makes us human. When you don't have those anymore, you've kind of got nothing. And I really, really, really want people out there caring for their loved ones who have dementia and have Alzheimer's to know they're not alone, and to know that there are support groups and that there's help out there for them. They're going through it just as much as their loved one is.
Back in, I want to say 2010 or whatever, my grandfather had financial problems and we discovered that he had dementia. And so it was very taxing on the family because we had to fly from Los Angeles to Texas to deal with him. And my uncle, was overburdened by his needs. And so my mom and brother got involved, and we eventually had to hire a couple lawyers, and we also had to put him into a group home. Because there's just so much just running his life, and he had the house, the cars that he had to deal with, so it was tough.
The stars have aligned for me to be here to participate in this. as the script supervisor, because while I was in North Carolina, my mother-in-law watched her sister die from Alzheimer's. She worries that she's gonna go through the same thing her sister did, and there's not gonna be anybody around to take care of her, because she lives in South Carolina, and there is no family there. Her oldest son is my husband, and we live in LA, and her youngest son is in Colorado, and my brother-in-law and his wife, they worry very much about my mother-in-law, that they don't like to see her getting older. It concerns them, it worries them, and the possibility of Alzheimer's looms large over their lives. I'm grateful that it doesn't loom large over my life, but this script really tells just a beautiful story of what can happen, or what probably does happen in a lot of lives. And it's scary, it's beautiful, it's loving, and I don't know how I could not be part of this film, so I'm really grateful.
My grandmother on my father's side suffered from Alzheimer's before her death, and it was, it's a difficult thing. It's, it's tough to watch them going through it. Her short-term memory was not good at all. Her long-term memory was better. So she would spend a lot of time looking at old family albums, old pictures, because that would, kind of comfort her, help her. But it is, it's a scary thing to watch someone go through that, because, you don't know where you are all the time. You don't remember, what happened the day before. And it's difficult for, relatives. Yeah, my grandfather, he was her caretaker, and, and very good, very faithful. And in fact, this story, kind of reminds me of him in a lot of ways. And so, it relates. And I think a lot of people will relate to this story, but ultimately, it's a story about love. It's about the commitment to marriage, the vow, honoring the marriage vows till death do us part.